All right, so I know I've been promising you that I was going to get this video done, so I'm finally getting around to having the time to get it done for you. So this is more of just an instructional video, not really a workout per se, but just of some things. I think I mentioned that I took a course called biomechanics, and I passed the test and got my certification for that. So it's just another specialty certification that I can work with functional fitness, doing myofascial release, and just a better understanding of how the body works together. So it just helps me to be a better instructor, a better trainer, that kind of thing. But due to some of the things that I know a lot of you are dealing with and what I see in a lot of my clients, oh, and there's Bella. I just thought it might be helpful for you because sometimes people have some of these things and they just don't quite know how to use them. Or maybe it's something that they might want to put the investment in and purchase that so that they could use it, okay? So first, I'm gonna kind of explain to you what these different pieces are, and then I'll just show you some different ways that you could use them. So this here is one of the best things. I know a lot of you do chair yoga, and you've seen probably Kathleen use the chair yoga, or someone else that you've done. This is called a stretch strap. And it's basically just like a webbing, if you can kind of see it there. It's like a kind of like a dog leash type material. It's not stretchy, so that's the difference. In silver sneakers and stuff, we use those stretchy bands. This is not stretchy, but you'll notice it has loops all through it so that you can put it at different lengths. So it's an extension of your hands or your legs to be able to stretch, okay? So for instance, if I am trying to stretch my hamstrings, I know I feel like I'm so far away, so I can put this loop around my foot and then use it. So you might not be able to reach your foot, right? So you can use it. If you put it further up on the ball of the foot, you can see how I'm causing some dorsiflexion to happen there in the foot, being able to pull that. But also as I lean forward, we do that hamstring stretch a lot, right? We're reaching for our toes, but we can't actually reach our toes. So if you use the strap, you might be right here, you're able to pull on that strap and get a little bit deeper stretch. Now here's the thing you have to be careful about with doing this, and when I say pull, you've got to be able to do it gently. So we want to feel the pressure, so it's kind of like as I start to stretch, and then all of a sudden you can feel where it's starting to stretch that muscle. You want to just hold on right there and maybe add just a tiny bit more. We don't want to go any more than that, but what happens a lot of times is we start to feel the stretch and then we back away, so then we're not actually stretching, okay? Another way that this works really good, a lot of us have those internally rotated shoulders. I'll stand up here, buddy. So as we internally rotate, right? So I'm overly exaggerating for, the purpose of demonstration. But we have that forward rolled posture and that, hump kind of that happens in the back. And so trying to stretch out through that, again, we can't really reach. So if you can do that aptly scratch test where you can grab your fingers behind, then you can be able to get that opening. But a lot of us can't do that, right? So we can take that strap in our hand, be able to pull it behind the back, grab one of the other straps, and then be able to open through that chest as you're able to use that strap to kind of lengthen that space between those fingers, make those fingers a little bit longer, right? So you can see, I'll turn around here, I just have my hand in the strap here and I'm using this other strap to be able to open and pull back. So I'm able to get a better stretch through the shoulder, and of course you would want to do both sides. So lots of things that you can do with this. Again, if you like to do yoga, this comes in very handy, okay? And as I go through these things, if there's something that's specifically like, I really would like to do more stretching, can you just do one just on the stretch strap? I could show you how to stretch your entire body using the stretch strap. But here I'm just kind of trying to give an overview of some different things that are available in modalities and the basic things that we would use them for. So you notice I have lots of foam rollers. I have the 36-inch ones. I have the 18-inch ones. This one is a half roller, so you notice that it is flat on one side. So some people, especially some of our older clients, you get on the roller and you feel really unstable. And that's partly what you use it for. If you take a Pilates class, you might have seen that there. because it helps us to work on our core strength as we're close to the ground laying on the roller. But if that's very uncomfortable for you, you can use the half rollers, so you have a flat side to place it down so it's not going to roll away from you. The disadvantage of that is that you're not going to be able to do a lot of the other things that you need a rolling foam roller for. But it's a good option nonetheless if you want to choose that. You can also switch it once you get stronger and lay on the flat side and use the rocking motion on the other side, so that works as well. And you notice here I have a smaller half one. So these work really good. You can use to be able to stretch the foot. So, out of the camera view, there we go. So as you step on that, but again, as you see these things, you'll see that, if I have stairs in my house, you might be able to use your stairs depending on how tall the rise is. Or you might be able to go outside and do it. But if you don't have stairs, you don't have a curb, or you don't want to be outside, this is something that you could use here. You can also use it for balance. Because of course, as you put it on the other side, and I'm going to stand and hold the chair, so you get to where you're standing on top of it, and of course it rocks. So using that to practice your balance. So some versatility of things that you could do with it. Again, you can just lay your head on it when I get down on the floor and show you that. This is something you could do just for massaging that occipital bone there. That will work as well for that. So I have various smaller massage balls here. I'm just going to kind of quickly show them to you. This one here is an acupressure ball. You notice it's very spiky. So it's going to give you, of course, more receptors when you roll this, whether it be your feet, your arms, your back, whatever you're using that on. This is like a lacrosse ball. It's very dense. You can find these at like Walmart, Target for very inexpensive, $3, $4, something like that. This here is the same size, you notice, but it's a foam. It's a dense foam. It's actually designed for, massage as well, for that acupressure massage. And you usually can only find them in sets, but you might be able to find them. If you just look up myofascial release or foam roller balls, I got this set off of Amazon, and I like this set just because the weight difference between these two is significant. So when I'm carrying around a lot of stuff, I like to have the lighter one, and it works just fine. You'll notice it's about the size of a tennis ball. And if you have a tennis ball, it's better than nothing. But what you'll notice on a tennis ball, especially with certain things where you're applying a lot of pressure, the tennis ball will compress. And so you lose kind of that massage ability from that. The last one here, I guess I have one more, is the peanut roller. So you notice that there is a space in between. So what this works really well for is along the spine, because of course we don't want to cause spinal compression. So you're able to place this to where you have these two balls on either side of the spine, and you have this groove in the center to be able to roll. So that especially that top part of our back, where we tend to get that tension from the shoulder blades, from that forward rolled posture, works great for that. Then one other one here again is that same foam, dense foam, but it's a larger size. So works good for like the glutes. You can use it on your back a little bit. Sometimes it's a little too big for that, depending on how big you are. It doesn't work for me because I'm too small of a frame. And so I can't really trigger point the areas that I need very well to do that. So again, just various sizes of these types of balls. So one of the best things, and what I use for a lot of these for my clients, is for foot problems, okay? So remember we talked about that kinetic chain that runs from the bottom of our feet all the way up through our head. This webbing of what's called fascia. And we get what's called plantar fasciitis, right? Which basically is kind of a hardening and a lack of flexibility in the fascial web that runs underneath the feet. It most of the time presents in pain in the heel itself, but sometimes can be spread throughout the bottom of the feet. Kind of feels kind of stiff, like you lose the flexibility, because as we walk, we step with our heel, move to the ball of the feet, and then to the toes as we move up, heel, toe. So if you walk slowly, one time, just kind of pay attention to how you would move through that. So if that is all tight underneath there, then the foot doesn't move as well, right? So what you can do is just take that ball, and you don't have to be standing, you can sit and do it. While you're watching TV, your favorite show, while you're reading your book in your favorite chair. But you just place your foot on that and you're just gonna roll around. Now, of course, with this acupressure ball, instead of one of the smooth balls, it's a little more intense, right? Because you've got all those spiky little things that are digging into your foot a little bit more. And again, you control the pressure, okay? But you will find, even you can do a simple test. Take and stand up and try to reach towards the floor, okay? So you notice I can reach the floor. But say you could only reach to about right here. That's because these hamstrings are tight, but also it stems from your feet. Take the little ball, whichever one you're using, and roll each one of your feet for at least 2 minutes, okay? I know that kind of seems like a long time, but it's actually not that long. So just roll those feet really, really well, and then I want you to do that test again and try to reach to the floor and see if you don't get a little more length. A good percentage of the time, I would say probably about 75% of the time when I've done this with clients, they are actually able to reach a little bit more. And they're surprised because they're like, well, I thought it's because my hamstrings are tight. It is partially, but the hamstrings comes from all the way down the legs. So as we can start to loosen up in the feet, that fascial web that runs from the feet all the way through the body, it begins to lengthen everything else through that process. And that's kind of the importance of keeping our muscles healthy. Our muscles and tendons are about 70 to 80% water. So if you are dehydrated, then that goes right to those muscles, and those muscles become less and less flexible because they are dehydrated as well. If you've ever seen like a rubber band, or even if you have those, exercise bands, the flat bands that are old, and you see how they kind of start to get a little bit brittle, elastic, anything like that, you've seen how it gets brittle. Our muscles are very similar if we don't keep them nice and flexible. So how do we keep them flexible? Stretching and using things like a foam roller or some type of massage. So, of course, you can go to pay a massage therapist to kind of help massage, and that's going to get some things depending on what they're working on and what techniques they're using. But I know, at least for me, I love to get massages, but I can't do it very often. It's very expensive and it's very time consuming. Who has an hour and a half to 2 hours of time between driving and everything that goes on to do that, right? Whereas if we use these types of devices, you're able to target. So say you had a really big leg day and your legs are really sore, then you can foam roll those legs, okay? So we're gonna go ahead. The other thing I just wanna point out, and you won't be able to tell really in the video, but when you're looking, if you do decide to buy a roller, these are soft. These ones here are what considered a standard density. There's a big difference. So this, I don't know if you can see, I can actually squeeze my fingers into it. Okay, so it's a little bit softer. You cannot, you're not gonna be able to, well, I guess if you hit it hard enough, you might be able to. But, so I would recommend, especially if you're just starting out, to make sure that you get one that says soft, okay? Because it makes a big difference. When you start laying and trying to work out stuff that's a little bit tense, you would not believe how intense that can be to massage that out. And so if it hurts too much, we won't do it, right? And so we want to have something that makes it feasible for us to do it. And of course I have the half roller there, which I'll show you some things that work well that you can use a half roller for. But if you have to pick just one thing, I would pick a full 36-inch size roller. They do come, this is a 6-inch round. They do make a 4-inch one. So you would be closer to the ground if you were worried about falling off or something. But you can do pretty much anything you would need to do with this one, okay? Versus if you get the shorter one, like what I'm gonna show you at the very beginning, which is where you should start from, it's not gonna work because you have to have something that will go from your tailbone to your head because you have to have your entire spine supported on that, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and show you this. Move that stretch strap out of the way. So you just lay your foam roller down on the floor. I'm on a mat just because I'm on hard floor. You can do it on the carpet, totally fine. Some people have asked, can I do it in my bed? You can for some of it. You're not gonna be able to do foam rolling stuff probably very well in the bed, but this first step where you're laying on your spine and trying to get that opening through the spine and just working on what's called proprioception, which is just you learning how to listen to your body, to see how does that feel? Do I feel that shoulder blade moving? Do I feel my tailbone moving? Those kind of things. You could lay that on your bed. Someone might have to help you. You know, you could roll on your side and kind of lay it there and then get up on it and get into position. And that would work, you know, because you still have the support as long as the roller can stay, you know, relatively straight. If it's bowing too much, then it's not going to work on your bed, okay? So what we do is we come down and you sit on the end of it. So you have your hands on the side. Of course, if you could put a chair right next to you so you can hold on to it, that would work as well. Bella thinks I'm going to play catch with her since I'm getting down on the floor. Go away, Bella. So you're just going to roll down onto the roller and then just kind of position yourself. So your knees are bent, okay? You don't have your legs straight out, but your knees are bent. Now, of course, I, you know, am able to balance fine, but you might need to keep your hands right here to be able to situate yourself and to feel safe, okay? So you want to just kind of wiggle around and make sure that you feel that going right from your tailbone, so your hips are on either side, and it's right up the spine in the center. So you should feel your head is in contact, but you have that space between your neck there, where you have that arch in the neck, where there's space there. You could put your hands through. Your shoulder blades there. And then you have, of course, a little bit of space there in the back, because we should have a natural arch in the back. And then that tailbone area, the sacrum area, is sitting on that, okay? So you just want to get in this position and just lay. Now, if your back is really out of whack, this could feel fairly uncomfortable for the first little bit until your back learns to release and hold into a naturally anatomically neutral position, okay? So just be aware of that when you first get on this, that it might not feel super comfortable. And again, if you have one of the standard density rollers, it's going to feel a little bit more intense as well, because it's not quite as soft, okay? They actually make hard ones as well. I don't recommend that, okay? When I start working with people like athletes who are very, very conditioned, there are certain times that it's appropriate to use the dense foam rollers, because we've got to really dig deep. They even have ones that have ridges and stuff on them that you can use. But for the basic things that everyday individuals need to use, the soft foam roller works perfect for that, okay? So again, maybe you have your favorite TV. You could position yourself to where you have your favorite TV program that you can watch, and so you just lay there. So you notice right now my hands are down, my palms are down. So then I would want you to turn your palms up. As you turn your palms up, you'll feel the change in the shoulder blades as you do that. Just kind of helps to, you know, move those shoulder blades around. So then once you're stable there, you're going to bring your hands up. This is called a butterfly. So you bring your hands straight up, and you should really feel your spinal alignment at this point, because you've raised the shoulder blades up off of that roller. So as you hold your hands here, you're just going to open your wings, and you should feel those shoulder blades retracting there, which is what we want, and then feel them lifting. Again, the whole purpose of this is aligning of the spine and getting to where you can feel your body being able to move correctly. Just taking those arms up and down, okay? And you want to do that 5 to 10 times, okay? Another thing you can do is practice your balance. So while you're here, again, just lifting your hands up and practice, because as you take those hands off, now all that you have are your feet and your core to help stabilize. You can take the hands down and lift one foot, and then maybe the other foot, or you can try lifting both feet. Another thing that helps when you're lifting your feet is actually if you lift your head, it kind of gives your spine more contact, and it can kind of help you stabilize a little bit as well. So just some simple core work that you can do while laying on the roller. Now, if you have those big issues with the shoulder blades, okay, what you want to do here is do snow angels. So I've shown you this before, where we do it on the wall or flat on the floor. So doing the same thing here on the foam roller, we bring those hands up and down. And so you'll notice, I'm just knocking things over, As you bring those arms up and down, you can feel the articulation through that shoulder blade. And because we are up on this roller, it allows those shoulder blades to open a little bit more. Okay, so we're having that retraction there as those pull back. You're able to get more movement there. Another exercise for those shoulders is to just take the hands straight overhead. And again, as you try to keep those hands straight and bring those thumbs to the floor, you'll be able to feel that opening through that shoulder blade. And then just bring the hands back down. And again, 5 to 10 repetitions is all you need to do. And release that, okay? Once you've done with those basic exercises to align your spine, to relax the back, and to work on those shoulder blades, and you're ready to get off, it's very simple. You just roll to the side. You're on your side. And here, remember we talked about needing those triceps? Good example of that. And we use those arms to just push ourselves up. It was as easy as that, okay? All right, so now I'm just gonna show you some different ways that you can massage, and I'll use the smaller one here for demonstration purposes. So one thing that is really, really good, we carry a lot of stress in our shoulders and our neck. I'm just going to put my hair up out of the way. And that's a good clue for any of you who have longer hair. When you start to roll your back, you don't want your hair down there because it will pull your hair. It doesn't feel very good. So when you lay down, you take the roller, and you don't want it right on your neck, okay? But if you feel for that bone, if you feel on the back of your head, you'll feel that bony process right there. You can feel it on both sides. That's called the occipital bone. So you place that bone right on the roller, and you just roll your head from side to side. As you do that, that massages all of those muscles right along the occipital bone and helps to start releasing the tension right down through your body. Okay, so remember that webbing runs from our feet to our head. Okay, so by the same token, you could start at the head and start to move down. Okay, so stress in that upper back tension, headaches, all those kind of things like this, a lot of times can be relieved by just massaging that occipital bone right there. Now this here on this soft one, for me anyways, doesn't do a whole lot for me. I have to use one of the ones that have the standard density because there's not a lot of pressure in your head, like when you're laying your whole body on it to roll things. And so I find I get better relief when I use one of the standard density ones. But whatever it is that you're using, you can do that. So then once you've rolled that out, again, we never roll right on the neck itself. So now we're going to move down to that upper back. So right here is just below my shoulder blades. So you can see that there, below my shoulder blades, my feet are bent and my hips are on the floor. You're going to bring your hands behind your head to be able to support the movement because you don't want your head to hang backwards, okay? We want to keep that head in alignment with the spine. So once I do that, I'm going to lift up my hips and I'm just going to roll back and forth that little space from the top part of my shoulder there down just below the shoulder blades. Now this part you can actually roll right on your spine, okay? Because you've got shoulder blades there that are going to help and you're not going to cause compression in the spine. Don't come down any lower than that on your back though. Once you want to roll the lower part of the back, you would need to either use that peanut roller so that we don't cause spinal compression, okay? Because there's not any bony things there along the spine on the bottom to help protect it. So we could potentially cause some spinal compression down on the lower part of the back, okay? So, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. But for right now, the top part of the back, which is from the shoulder blades here, the top part, so like your rhomboids and your lats at the top, to just below the shoulder blades and just lifting up the hips. So you notice that my back is kept in alignment and you're just coming back and forth. And again, you don't have to do it very long, 15, 20, 30 seconds. Just roll through that and then you can rest, you can get up, okay? All right, so if for some reason, say my lower back was bothering me, you would need to get onto your side to do that, okay? So we would get on our side here. So you notice I'm just up on top of that. And you can use your legs. You can try different positions to see what works. And you would just roll up and down through that so that you would stay on the side of the back. So the same thing here when we get to the hips. So we just can continue to move down that. So if you sit on the roller, you want to keep your hands or arms, sometimes you'll be on your forearms, and your feet, as well as your body on the roller. So you always have at least 2, if not 3. There's very few where there's only 2 points of contact. Most of the time there's always 3 points of contact. So you feel very stable. But they do require some upper body strength to be able to do some of this, because of course you can see I'm holding on one hand to be able to roll back and forth right here, okay? You could also come down to the elbow if that worked better. So if you've got some upper body weakness, you might have to kind of work on that a little bit to be able to get into that. So right now here, I'm able to roll on this hip, and I could roll down further to roll up into the back or that upper part of the glute. Okay, so you just find that target area and place that on the roller and then move back and forth. You can, I have several people who cycle a lot. So you can sit on the roller right here, so you get those sit bones, the bony part of your bottom, which if you were sitting on the hard floor, feels uncomfortable, right? But just rolling right here, roll at those sit bones and rock side to side. So that will also help to release all of that tension and stress that can kind of happen there if you're someone who maybe rides a bike a lot, whether it's cycling indoors or outdoors, okay? So again, you continue down the legs. So I'm just going to kind of show you here if you're trying to massage your hip flexors, okay? So, well, I'll have to do it on the other hip so you can see. So I'm going to put it on that side. This leg is bent, so I can get pressure, and I'm on my forearms. So I'm just rolling back and forth right along the front part of the hip on this right side. This leg is bent to help support. Some people will do it with the long roller, where you can use, try to do it on both legs. The problem is here, and if you had both, you could try it, that there's other parts, you can't get as deep of a pressure on that trying to do that, because you have the pelvic bone and sometimes our tummies that get in the way. So it's better to roll off to one side. And of course you can do it with the larger one, you just have to scoot it over and have that leg bent on the other side so that you're able to target into the hip flexor, okay? That front part of the hip. So again, if you're struggling with your hips, they're really tight, this foam rolling can do that. Now, again, say you don't have a foam roller, but you just have one of the balls. If you have the smaller one, the big one works good here because it's a large space. But what you would do is you take that ball, feel for your hip bone and where your belly button is. So you have your hip bone and your belly button, and you have this space right here, okay? That is where you would want to place the ball. So you would just lay down on your tummy. I'm going to use the larger one so you can kind of see. As you lay down on your tummy, you'll feel that pressure right there where the hip flexor inserts. And you would just kind of roll around on it to massage it. Kind of moving yourself up and down and moving around to be able to release that hip flexor, okay? You can do the same thing on your back. Sometimes it's hard to do, to get the ball where you need it to be, or like the little peanut thing. Another thing you can do is do it against the wall. So if you can hold it there and then stand against a wall and then massage it. So up and down, side to side. So you'll be able to feel, yeah, mine's a little sore, where that shoulder blade is. So you don't massage right on the shoulder blade. You can feel the tendons and the muscles right around the edge of the shoulder blade. So I'm going up and down. So I'm between the spine and the shoulder blade in this space right here, okay? And as you practice with it, you'll be able to feel it, okay? So it's called trigger point massage, okay? So you're finding where the spot is and doing that. So say you had an issue with your forearm. I'll use this chair. So you could use a table. So you have tension in your forearm. You could just take it and roll it along that forearm. So as you roll back and forth, you can find that point. Again, you never want to do it right on the joints. You wouldn't roll right on your elbow, but you can start right below the elbow. You have all that fleshy part here. You wouldn't roll right on the wrist, but we roll up to the wrist and around that elbow, so like right there. Ooh, you'll be able to feel as you start experimenting with it. You can even do it with your hands when you're kind of feeling, you're like, there is the tendon that's tight. You can feel it. And that's what massage therapists do. As they go through there, they can feel where it's tight, and then they start working on it, right? Digging with their elbows or fingers. So that's in essence what you're doing. You're just using these things to be able to do it for yourself, to save yourself a lot of time and money, and also keep your muscles so much more healthy. Because as we are able to massage these, it actually helps to bring water. So that's the other point I need to make, that when you do this, you need to make sure you drink plenty of water, okay? I would drink some before you start foam rolling, and then afterwards make sure you drink plenty more, because it starts pulling the hydration from other parts of your body to try to rehydrate those muscles better. So if your body is dehydrated and it starts pulling that, then you can have other things like headaches or muscle cramps or things like that. So make sure that you're drinking plenty of water, half your body weight in ounces every day. I know it's a lot, okay? But that's what our body needs. 70 to 80% water we are, right? Okay? So just using that ball. So we talked about doing it on the feet. So just real quickly, one other one that I want to show you here is to be able to roll your thighs, okay? So you get on the front here, and I'm just rolling. So we don't roll onto our joints. So you notice here, this is one of those ones where it's not very easy to keep your feet down. They kind of tend to come up, okay? You can work really hard to try to keep them down, but they may come up a little bit as you roll back and forth on them, okay? And you'll feel that. Now say you want a little bit deeper. So if I bend this leg and then roll on it, oh yes, it exposes that muscle a little bit more and makes it even harder. And so then you can switch. Bend that leg, roll back and forth to get those quads right there, and try to release those out. Okay? One last one is your calves. So the calf is another good one that you could use the ball on. Okay? So you could be sitting on a chair and maybe you have an ottoman or something, and you just place that underneath there and roll back and forth. So as you roll around on that ball, applying pressure. But sometimes like here, unless your legs weigh a lot or you can really push down, you don't get it. But if you cross your feet like this, like I actually don't even like to do this, it hurts. Not hurts, I should say, it's much more intense. So as I move around like this, and the ball is tougher, okay? Because again, you have a smaller surface to pinpoint and target that. But I can do the same thing with the foam roller, crossing those legs like that, because crossing the legs, you put more pressure and weight onto those calves. So then you just lift up. So again, here comes that upper body strength that you need a little bit. So you just roll forward and back on that calf, staying away from being right on the knee. And then you can switch, of course, and roll back and forth to be able to massage out those sore muscles right there, okay? So I know that was a quick, just kind of throwing it all out there, but I just wanted to give you a good overview of some of the things that you can do to be able to help keep your body moving to its maximum benefit, okay? It's, you know, we all understand that as we age, things start to not work as well. We start to have a little more aches and pains and things, and sometimes we just go like, oh, there's nothing I can do about it. But this is what I want you to know, that there is something you can do about it. Sometimes there's genetic things that there's not much we can do about, and we have to kind of accept those things. But there is so much that you can do with simple, inexpensive tools. I mean, I got most all of this stuff off of Amazon or through fitness companies that I use, where I can get a little bit more of a discount, but Amazon's prices are very comparable to what we can get through the fitness companies that we use, and they'll ship it right to your house. So like the most expensive one is the bigger foam roller, and this was, I believe, $47 or $49, something like that. So a little bit of an expense that, but if you take care of it, it'll last you forever. There's really no reason that these things would break down. Of course, the smaller half ones and the half ones here, they go down in price from there. This little massage ball kit was only $20, okay? And you get it comes with 5 pieces. So you could start with that, and you could do a lot of things with that. You won't get the back proprioceptive work and things like that, which is really, really good for you. But it's better than not doing anything, okay? So even if you use your hands, so after you take a shower, or maybe while you're in the shower, if your forearms are really hurting, you can do that. If your hips are hurting, you can use that pressure of your hands to try to massage those areas out a little bit. If you can afford to go get professional massages all the time, then that works good for you too. But just know that there are going to be trigger point things that they're not always going to be able to target. And especially when you're working out, that's when it's very important to incorporate this in. For those of you that do happen to attend the YMCA here in Las Vegas, we have a teacher who actually teaches, it's called Roll and Rescue. It's on Monday evenings where you can go and just do stuff on the foam roller. That's the whole entire class, is just doing exercises on the foam roller. That's how good it is for you, is that they do have classes that are designed 100% around using the foam roller for restorative work. So I hope that you find these helpful. And again, if you have any questions, you can always send me a message. I'll be happy to answer. And I hope you have a wonderful week.